Hey guys, Carl from Moose Plays. Today I'm taking a look at Compania from designer Akase Yog and publisher Asobiton, published in the US by Level 99 Games. This is a unique twist on worker placement where instead of just placing out a worker at a location, you're actually playing a sort of blind bidding area majority game where you're setting out a sort of variety of different locations where you're planning to place out your workers, and then after everybody plans to place out their workers, they get placed out, and whoever has the majority in that given location is then the one who takes the action of the location. And in addition, the actions are changing every round, and you're sort of building out this engine, so it's got quite a bit of engine building in it as well, building out your company or compania, trying to come up with different buildings or different sort of build things that you're creating to convert resources into money, which ultimately are the points. And then again, whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game by the publisher for this video, so as always I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game, but saying that, I did reach out to the publisher directly about this one because this is one that I was already quite interested in trying out after I had seen, mostly based on the artwork, but also I'm just always interested in trying out new Japanese Euro games. So with all of that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Compania, begin by placing out the game board onto the table. And a couple of small apologies right up front. I apologize, this board is very shiny, so I apologize for any glare you're getting on the board from my lighting. Also, it is a very large board, and I'm going to add some more tiles over here, which is going to give me very little space for my gameplay, but I will do my best to sort of show everything on the screen. I didn't want to make this a two-camera video because there isn't much of a player area. So I'm going to do my best to keep everything on the screen at all times. So the next thing I need to do is take these basic area tiles marked here, A through F, placing them out on the spaces on the board, A, B, C, D, E, and F, like that. And I am going to take the rest of the development tiles, which are this stack right here, but for this video I will also be playing the advanced rules just to show everything off that's in the box. So I am going to also mix in these 5 advanced tiles into the stack as well. And then I'm going to take that stack of tiles and I'm going to set it off to the side of the board over here. You won't see it on camera, but I don't want to take up any space on screen for those tiles. Next thing I want to do is take the building cards here. You will see also there are some green advanced buildings mixed into here as I am playing with the advanced rules, so I'll give those a good shuffle. And I'll set that shuffle deck here onto the building spot of the main board. Next I'm going to take these sponsor cards, giving those a good shuffle. And first I'm going to place one of those here onto the board, but then I'm going to give them a little bit more of a shuffle and deal 2 more over here. I'm going to choose one of those later for additional scoring as well. That is part of the advanced rules. This will always be there in the normal rules or the advanced rules. Then to finish setting up the main board, I need to randomly select one of each of the 4 types of investment tiles. So I'll go ahead and do that. And those will get placed here along the side of the board. Placing them out like this in order of phases: the planning phase, the action phase or area phase, the company phase, and then the end phase. And then I need to set up my own area. For the solo mode, there are a variety of different solo characters that I can select from. So there are 6 different colors, means 6 different characters. For this video, I'm going to play as white. So I'm going to set that right there. I'll deal with those in just a minute. But that means the other 4 cards, it doesn't really matter the order, but I'll shuffle them up anyway. And I'm going to slide in 1 card like this at the top of each of the 5 columns. Because this is going to sort of run the AI blocking as we get into gameplay. And that means for each of these characters, I also need to place 1 die of their color at the top of the board. And they won't get rolled until later on in gameplay, so I'm simply going to place out those dice there so we have them available to us. For myself, I also need all of the player pieces in my color, which will be all of the cubes in my color, which I can place out here for now.
all of the dice of my color, but I am only going to start with 3 of those dice available to me. The other 6 dice can get placed here in this area on the board. I will also, off to the side of the board, be placing these red cubes. I'm going to use these for the spaces that the AI player is taking during gameplay. I'll need 2 additional dice in a color that is not my own to calculate what's going to be called solo points at the end of every round that I get to spend for special abilities, and I'll show that off later. The other thing I do need that's not really going to fit so well on screen is my resource tracker. So for right now, I'm just going to keep this off screen, and I'll sort of bring it in and out as needed to explain things. But at the start of the game, I will start with 0 of each of the 3 resources for just a minute, because we are going to continue, again, playing the advanced rules, so there is one further step. There's also a little bit more information that I do want to put out on the screen. So first things first, to finish setting up the advanced mode, I do have these 2 sponsor cards that I'm going to choose one from in just a minute, but I'm also going to be playing with these company cards. So same way, I will shuffle these up, and I'm going to deal out 2 of these to myself. And at the same time, this is not an advanced rule, this is a normal rule, but I'm going to deal out 4 of these cards, and I'm going to end up selecting 2 of these. So right now I need to look at these, select 2, look at the company cards and select 1, and look at the sponsor cards and select 1. So let me go ahead and do that. Setting this off to the side for just a minute so I can put out everything onto the board. And I kind of need to explain roughly what all of these things do. So the majority of the way that this game is going to work is that I'm going to be collecting resources to build these different buildings. And you'll see if I show these to you up close, in the top left corner, there is a cost that I need to pay to build the building. And at the end of every round, or in this sort of company phase of every round, I'm going to be able to spend whatever it shows here to activate the building, gaining whatever it shows down here at the bottom. But you will see that some of the buildings will have the same symbol on them, in which case, instead of building it as a separate building, I can build it so that it tucks underneath a building, showing only this bottom banner. And that means that anytime I activate that building, I get all of those things that are then showing at the bottom. So I kind of want to pay attention to things that work well together. You'll also see these here that don't have a symbol. They will match one of the 2 types of cards. So there are these types of cards that are using resources to generate points. But there are also other cards that you'll see later that will generate points based on me having the majority in what is going to end up being sort of an area majority kind of game. So looking at these just quickly, I do see that these tie together very well. So I'm going to hold on to those. These then will get discarded. And I'll just discard them off to the side of the screen. Then, looking at the other cards, I need to pick one of these sponsors and one of these companies. But also, there is a sponsor that's automatically included every time we play the game. It will be random, but what these sponsor cards are going to do are going to offer some kind of end game scoring bonus based on whatever it shows here. So this is the corporate president. And it says at the end of the final round, I'm going to gain 4 points or 4 kilo gold for each different type of icon in the lower left corner of the building cards. So again, the building cards all have different icons down here. And seeing that, I might actually want to take this one instead of one of these, just so I can mix that up. But that is only 4 points, so it's not super important right now because these are getting me more than that. So let's hold on to those anyway. So those are mine. And again, I'll move things around as needed while playing. But then the other 2 sponsor cards that I get to choose from this time are the Machine Shop, which says at the end of the final round, I'm going to gain 4 kilo gold for each of the green resources that I have remaining. Or the Mad Investors that say at the end of the final round, the total amount I have invested in investment tiles plus 2 kilo gold is my total, which is really cool because something I haven't shown you yet, and I am going to take that one, and you'll see why in just a second. And that's because normally, sorry, before I show that, Normally, I'm only allowed to make one investment on each of these 4 tiles. But for this play, I am playing with the Astute Speculator, which says when I start spending solo points, and I'll show you how that works later, but it says I can immediately make an investment at half price on a tile that already has a player cube on it. And I can use this ability to invest more than once on the same investment tile. So already I'm focused on making a lot of investments, and I have the ability to invest in more than one tile. And when I use that, I pay half price for those investments, but this card is going to be scoring based on the total actual investment plus 2. Which means these values here, which will add up pretty quickly, although again, any of these sponsor cards, I didn't mention this, these sponsor cards will always max out at a maximum of 30 points that can be earned from those cards. Then I need to take one of these company cards. So we've got Nasidke, I guess is how that's read. This says I'm going to start with one of the pink resources, and then it also says during the company phase, if I don't have any places where I have absolute majority, and you'll see how that works when we get into gameplay, the cost of all construction cards is reduced by 1 pink this round. But right now I'm very heavily focused on yellow, so that may not be what I want to happen. Topful here says, I start with an additional die, and dice are going to be the number of different regions that I can place my pieces out into. So having an additional die early does mean that I can spread my stuff out a little bit more, which may or may not be a good thing, and you'll see that again when we get into gameplay. But it says here, during the area phase, if the number of places that I have a majority, or at least tied for majority, is equal to or greater than the current round number, so that will get more and more difficult as the game goes on, I'm going to gain 1 green or yellow resource or draw 1 card from the building deck. And then it says, furthermore, if that number is equal to the current round number, I'm also going to gain an additional amount of kilogold or points equal to the current round multiplied by 3. That is absolutely the one I'm going to be taking. So I do want to sort of focus on trying to get majorities in things, but you'll see how that works as we play. And just to clear things up a little bit, I'm going to keep these dice down here with my card. But now because of Topful, I am starting with 1 additional die, which is great. And on top of that, let me just clear these cubes out of the way, setting them off to the side over here, just so I have more space to show things off on the screen. So you can see the cards I have available to me. I'm going to use this area up here to build my buildings. And again, it's going to be very tight very quickly, and I apologize for that, but I didn't want to use a second camera if I can avoid it. Then finally, to finish setting up, there are some other small things off screen that I will use to show things off, as well as the kilogold itself. There are 3 different colors. These are 1s and 5s, these are 10s and 50s, and these are 100s and 500s. And again, I'm going to keep that off to the side, but I'll pull those in as I start making money / earning points. There's also this Saboteur placement table that you need for solo mode that will explain how the sort of automated player is going to be placing their cubes out into the different areas on the board, and I'll explain that when that happens. But there's also this card here that explains those solo points that I was talking about before and how those solo points can be spent. So again, I'm going to keep these off screen, but I will pull those in to show them off when I am doing the things that are sort of related to those things. The only other thing we need, and I'm going to put this out on the board or out on the screen to start, but I may sort of slide it off screen as we start running out of space. But that is this. And this is going to dictate or basically be how the game plays in multiplayer, because this should be on your player area. And then actually in front of that or surrounding that, there are these player screens. So this opens up, which is great because it does sort of explain all of the different things in the game. But this is a shield to sort of protect that, because what you're going to be doing on your turn, and you'll see that in just a second, is I'm going to be assigning different values of cubes to the different regions on the board, and then placing those cubes into the regions. But in a multiplayer game, you all plan where you're placing, and then reveal at the same time, placing out those cubes and fighting for majority in those different areas. But since I'm the only person playing in the solo mode, this becomes less meaningful, except that I am only allowed to place out cubes into a number of spaces equal to or less than the number of dice I have available to me. So I will use that to help explain that in the first couple of rounds, but then I may end up pushing that off to the side because it's going to be less meaningful in the solo game. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So let's sort of dive in and I'll explain how things work as I play through the first round. But Compania is going to play out over a series of 9 rounds as shown here on the board. And at the start of every round in this solo game, in the multiplayer game I will simply be drawing a tile and placing it out. But because the solo game is sort of me against an opponent that doesn't really exist, I need to give myself a little bit more decision-making space. So at the start of every round I will begin by turning over 2 of these development tiles. Ooh, and they're both advanced this time. And from those 2 development tiles, I'm going to choose one to add into the space for the current round, effectively giving myself an additional sort of area to place cubes out to take actions, potentially take actions in. And it is a little bit tricky that these are both advanced at the beginning, simply just because that means they're going to be a little bit more confusing to explain, but I'll do my best. This action here says that when I play a card of that type, which are these right here, I'm going to be able to pay 1 less resource from that card to build that card. And actually double checking that as I say that to you, that is not actually correct. That is discounting not the cost of the building, but when I activate a building here to generate the point values at the bottom, I will be able to spend 1 fewer resource to activate each building. So this is true for every building that I'm activating on the turn that I've activated this location. This one says that if I activate this location, it will count as having 2 additional shared or unique majority locations, or +1 unique majority means lone majority location. And I'll explain what that means later, but right now that's not super important for me, especially this early in the game. So I am going to take this one and add that as a location. So after doing that, we are moving into the 4 phases of the game: the planning phase, the area phase, the company phase, and finally the end phase. And in the planning phase, this is where we decide where we're going to place out cubes onto the board for these different actions. And the way that this works is a sort of unique combination of area, majority, and worker placement. Because I'm going to place cubes out into these locations, as well as the automated player will be placing cubes out into those locations. And for any location that we either have majority in or tie for majority in, we will then activate whatever the action is at that location. So let me explain the actions and then I'll explain a little bit more about how the placement works. Both A, B, and C, I say both, but all A, B, and C are resource generating locations. A will give me 2 green resources or machines. B will give me 2 yellow resources or electricity, and C will give me 1 pink resource or a crystal. D will allow me to take 1 additional die into my play area. E, and I just forgot something as I say this, 1 of my cubes should have been placed on this track down here. And this is going to end up being, which I'll explain in just a second again, the number of cubes that I'm allowed to place out onto the board in any given round. So at the start of the game, I can place out 5 cubes onto the board in a single round. This action here will raise that number, so I can place out more cubes in a single round. And then finally, action F says I'm going to draw 2 cards from this into my hand, and then from the cards in my hand, I'm going to discard 1 card from play. So those are what the actions are. And normally in a multiplayer game, you would all be secretly using your dice, setting the number of the die, you're not rolling the dice here, setting the number of the die to the number of cubes that you're planning to put out into that location. Remembering that you can only place out as many dice as you have in your supply, means you can only place out cubes in a number of locations on the board equal to or fewer than the number of dice that you have available to you. And then the total value of the dice means the total number of cubes that you will be placing out must be equal to or less than the value on this track where you currently have your cube. So right now I can only place out a total of 5 cubes in a total of 4 locations. And usually in the multiplayer game, everybody would be doing that in secret. And as soon as everybody was done, you would reveal and then place out the cubes as promised onto the board. But the solo mode is going to work a little bit differently, because first what's going to happen is the AI is going to place out cubes in some of these locations randomly. And then I will assign my cubes as I choose to place them out, following the normal placement rules. And then after I've placed out my cubes, the AI will have a second wave of placement. So I'll have some information about where the AI is placing, but also some information will come after I've already made my placement, just as if I was sort of in the middle of a turn order in a multiplayer game. So to do that, I'm going to take the dice from any of the AI players that exist above a column that has some tiles in it, right? Which right now means yellow, blue, and black. In this situation, rolling those 3 dice, and then reassigning those dice to those locations, and filling in cubes as shown based on those values, following this table. So with a 5, the yellow player is going to place 1 cube in the 2 bottom spaces of their column. With a 6, the blue player is going to place 1 at the top and bottom spaces of their column. And with a 2, the black player would be placing 2 cubes in the middle tile, except there is no middle tile in the black column currently, so they're actually not going to place anything at all for this round. So doing that again, the 5 means I'm going to place 1 in the middle and the bottom, and the 6 means that I'm going to place 1 at the top and the bottom like this. And again, I need to remember that in order to activate the space, I need to at least share majority in that space. So I need to have at least the same number of cubes as the AI in a space to activate it, or more. But in addition to that, I've mentioned before this idea of solo points. And the way that's going to work is this. After I place my cubes out onto the board, any location that contains both my cubes and the AI's cubes will generate 1 solo point. Then after I finish seeding the AI's cubes the second time, any location where I have absolute majority, I will get an additional 1 point. Any location where we tie for majority, nothing happens. But any location where they have absolute majority, they will gain 1 point, meaning I will lose 1 solo point. And after doing that, I will have a number of solo points. From my player ability this game, I can spend 2 solo points in order to invest in one of these at half price. And I'll explain investment in just a second. But then I can also use solo points as shown on this card. So 1 point will get me a green resource, machines, a yellow resource, electricity, or a point or kilo gold. 2 points will give me a crystal or a card. And 3 points would allow me to take another die or increase my cube value on that track. And it says here again, X points allow you to activate your character's ability. Well, in this case, that X point, actually, why don't I keep this here? That X point is the 2 that it takes for him. Now, because he has the ability to invest, let me explain investing in just a minute before I finish this round or this area phase. Well, really the planning phase and area phase. After the planning phase, we're going to check majority. We're going to trigger any locations that I'm shared majority or absolute majority in. And then we'll move to the company phase. The company phase, I can do 3 things. I can spend resources to build buildings. I can spend resources to activate those buildings to get the stuff that's in them, scoring points or kilo gold, which is money that I can then also use to invest in these different technologies. And the rules say that I can build as many buildings as I have resources for, and I can activate as many buildings as I have resources for, but I may only buy 1 investment per round, and I may only ever have 1 investment in each of these 4 tiles, except that my character breaks that rule when I use the solo points to allow him to invest, and when I do that, I invest at half price, and I can place a second or a third, or third is the biggest, a second or a third cube on that location. And each of these tiles will give me some kind of special ability or some kind of breaking of the rules or some kind of additional rule for each of the 4 phases. So let me quickly run through what these are. The planning phase technologies in this playthrough will be, for 5 money, I can buy the ability that during the planning phase, I will roll a die. If I roll a 3 or higher, I could get a machine or electricity. For 8 points, I can do the ability where 4 or higher would get me a crystal. And for 11 points, I could unlock the ability that a 5 or higher would give me 2 cards added to my hand. The area
phase abilities. This one has a sort of spinny circle here with 2 arrows. That means I can do these every time they would trigger, whereas if it does not have that, means here and here, each of those things can only be done once. This one says anytime I have absolute majority in a location where I gain a card, I would gain an additional card. This one here for 18 points, anytime I have a sort of absolute majority in a location where I get a die, I'll get an additional die. And for 18 points, anytime I have absolute majority in a location where this track increases for cube totals, I will get an additional cube total increase. The company phase investments are all going to relate to how I'm activating or playing buildings. For 7 points, it says anytime I build a building, I would gain 2 kilo gold or 2 points. For 11 points, anytime I build one of these sort of market type buildings, I would get either a yellow and a green resource or a pink resource. And this bottom one here for 15 points, you haven't seen these cards yet, so I'll show them when they come out. But the other type of building card are area cards that sort of trigger their point scoring based on area majority numbers. And this one says when I build one of those area cards, I would draw a card. Then finally, the end phase abilities in this game will be after we check majority, because this is happening in the end phase. You'll see that after we check majority, the cubes that were used to hold majority will come off of the board. But this says for 5 points, any location that still has 1 or more of my cubes on it would score me 1 kilogold or 1 point. For 12 points, any location that has 3 or more of my cubes on it will give me 2 green, 2 yellow, or 1 pink resource. And for 20 points, all locations, if none of my player cubes remain on any tiles, means the board is completely wiped of my cubes, I would score 20 points or gain 20 kilogold, which is going to be really cool if I can find a way to constantly be clearing all my stuff. But again, that costs 20 points, which is going to be expensive. Except that using him, that could become a 10 point if I use solo points. So with all that said, and knowing that right now I have no resources, and I might as well leave this here for right now because there's nothing on the board in that location, I get to place out in a maximum of 4 locations, a maximum of 5 cubes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes to place out in 7 different locations. This one right now is not so great for me because I don't really have that much ability to get stuff going right now. I do want to sort of boost my ability to play stuff. I do want to start getting some resources, and I'd love to start getting some more cards so that I have more available stuff. So, seeing what I see, I don't care about pink currently. I definitely want more cards. I definitely want this. There's nobody there. But remember, they could potentially place 2 cubes there if I roll a 2 in a minute. But currently that's empty. I don't care about this because I did start with an extra die, and right now having 4 locations should be enough until we start getting a bunch more locations. I definitely need a lot of yellow resources for these cards, but right now my only ability is 2. So I don't think that's going to happen, but it's still worth fighting for because remember, I get solo points if I play where they are, and if I beat them, I get additional solo points, which will allow me to get other stuff done, although in this round I have no money yet, so I can't make any investments even if I could trigger that. But I am going to place a 2 in B, and again, I'm just doing this to show you how it works. I'm not going to keep doing this for every round, but I will place 2 in B. I have 5 to place. I will place 2 in F. And I will place 1 in E. Which means 2 go there, 2 go there, and 1 goes there. Like that. Now after I've placed out my cubes, they will then go ahead and place out their second wave. So yellow is 4, which means the top one and the middle one. Hold on, before I did that, I am in 2 locations with them, so I will start by setting a die to 2. That's how many solo points I have right now. So they did that and that. Blue got a 6, which means top and bottom. Here and here. This is working out wonderfully for me.
And then black, I don't care, but a 2 means goes here and nothing gets placed out. So that is that phase. We go into the area phase. Anywhere that I have cubes and win, all of my cubes will go to the corner. The corner is going to show who owns that space for the round. And anytime we're tied, all of the cubes will go to the corner. But a unique rule for the solo mode is that anytime the AI has cubes in a location, more than one cube will always go to the corner anyway, but more than one cube, instead of placing all of their cubes in the corner, which is normally how it would work in the multiplayer and will work from my placement, they are only going to place half of their cubes rounded down in the corner, which means that even if they're completely the only people on that tile, they will potentially still have cubes remaining on that tile for the next round. Because in general, whoever doesn't have majority will still have cubes left on that spot for the next round. So doing that, this goes to the corner. We're tied here, so everything goes to the corner. This is 1, so it goes to the corner. Here, only half rounded down will go. This one goes to the corner, and then all of them go here. And now I check for solo points. Again, any space where we both have cubes and I'm winning, I get +1 solo point. Any space where we're tied for placement, I get 0 solo points. And any place where we're both there and they have majority only, I lose 1 solo point. But right now, the only places we both have things, we are tied. So this value of 2 will stay the same, which means then that I can use that 2 to get 2 of these things, 1 of these things, and then nothing there because I can't spend 3. And seeing that I am going to get 2 yellow here, and seeing that I need 3 yellow here and 1 yellow to activate that, I'm actually going to take 2 yellow using those 2 solo points, like that. And now we go through all of these things. Here I trigger, and I say that, but we can trigger these in any order I want to. So I'm actually going to take cards first. It's not going to matter because this is guaranteed 2 yellow. So I'll take 2 yellow from that. I'm up to 4. Here my cube total goes up by 1. And here I'm going to draw 2 cards. And again, they're still both marketplace cards. This one costs 2 greens and a pink to build, and a green and a pink to activate for those 2 things. And it is this shape. This one has no shape. Ooh, this one is really cool for us. And I'll show you why in a minute. But this says if I spend 2 yellows, I can build this. This must get tucked behind one of this type of card. But this is going to say that every time I activate it, it costs 1 less yellow. So if I build this and I build that, I could do that and I don't have to spend. This is automatically free every round. And then if I stack more things under there, like this one, for example, that could mean then that I get all of those points for free without spending any resources. That could be really cool for me. I mean, I do want to get some green and pink going, but I can do that on a future turn. So let's discard that one. And so we then move into the company phase. So now I can spend resources again to build cards tucking them under matching symboled cards, activating those cards, and then also investing. So I am going to spend 3 yellow to build this building. So I'll place that up here like that. And then you'll see that that costs 1 yellow to score 3 kilo gold. So I will do that, spending 1 yellow, taking 3 money. 1, 2, 3, like that. I don't have a good spot for it. Yeah, let's just keep it over here, like this. And I should point out that in the solo mode, the goal of the game is that I should be trying to score more than 500 kilo gold by the end of the game. Although because we're playing with the advanced mode, I'm actually trying to hit 600 kilo gold or 600 points by the end of the game. And I do want to try and diversify these symbols for this scoring. And I do want to invest lots of money for that scoring. The problem is I only have 3 money from this round, so I'm not going to be able to invest in anything currently. But they will allow me to invest by half price if I use solo points in the next round. And that is that. So we move into the night phase, and doing that now, I've forgotten that because I tend not to use it because I always forget to use it or to move it, there is this tracker token that I should have placed out during setup that does allow you to move from phase to phase. So I will use that moving forward. But now during the nighttime phase, any cubes that are in the active spot on each of these tiles will be removed from the board. So all of these reds go away, and every single one of my whites go away. So you'll see having that thing that scores me 20 points every time I clear my cubes might be a pretty powerful thing to have, but right now I don't have enough points / money to get that done. And that is that. So this goes back up to the top. And we start again by drawing 2 tiles from the stack, having a look. This one says any location where I have absolute majority, not shared majority, will give me 1 of these crystals up to a maximum of 4. And this one says that I would be able to double my green resources or my yellow resources. That's incredibly powerful. I absolutely want to have that, especially because right now I need so much yellow, and the only yellow building I have is a 2 yellow. So we're going to put that out like that. And then I don't have any of the roll to activate abilities yet. We do only have these 3 columns still, so those 3 dice will get rolled. 4 for yellow, 1 for blue, and 3 for black. So yellow goes 1, 2, 3, 4 is those 2. Blue is a 1, means 2 go on the top. And black would be 1, 2, 3, but there's nothing in the 3rd space, so they don't place anything out, which is great because I'm very curious about that. I do still have 4 dice, but I am now allowed to place out 6 cubes because I did level that up last time. So we've got 6 cubes to place. And I definitely want that, I definitely want that, I definitely want that, and I'd love to try for that. But remember, we only get solo stuff if we challenge the AI. But that's okay. I'm going to put 2 in B. I'm going to put 2 here in 2. And then we'll put 1 in E. And we'll put 1 in F. And again, this is going to be the last round that I use these dice, but I just want to show you how this card works. So that means 2 go there, 2 go there, 1 here, 1 here. AI rolls their dice again. But before that, I do get 1 solo point for that battle that's happening over there. So we're starting at 1, rolling their dice. Yellow is a 2. Ouch. Blue is a 4. That's kind of okay. Black is a 3. That's very okay. So 2 goes here, which is going to crush me. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem. 4 goes here and here. 3 goes off, nothing happens. Now I say that's a big problem because that gets rid of my resource that I was hoping to double. But looking at my solo points, let's put all of these in. They are winning, so they go there. These, we are just them, so only half of those go there. We're tied. This one, this goes here, this goes here. Ah, this is horrible. This is extra horrible. I should have put 3 cubes there, and that was a big mistake on my part. Wow. Yeah, wow. I kind of want to retcon that, but I really can't. Because what's going to happen is now I only had 1 solo point, but now I lose 1 solo point because they won that matchup, and here we're tied, so that's 0. So I have 0 solo points. Ah, wait a minute. I forgot about my power last time. I forgot about this power last time. And this power last time said that if I had majorities equal to or greater than the round I was in, and I definitely had more than 1 because we activated more than 1 location, then I should have taken 1 resource. And at that time, seeing all of the yellow that I should have had, I would have done that. Because now also in this area phase, which is where we are right now, starting now, same thing. If I have equal to or greater than the current round is 2, and I have 1, 2, 3. So I do that as well. So I will take another yellow. So we're not completely messed up. It's still not great, but we're not messed up. Because now we do activate. No, 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 no. I get one more here. I get 2 cards and trash one. Ooh, that's not the right blue, but now I can show you the other colors. This card is one of the cards that's going to activate based on my conditions on the board, which says right here, this one says that if I have 4 or more absolute majorities, means not a tie, but just myself as majority, I will score 25 points. That's incredibly hard to do, and that's incredibly expensive to buy. So that's absolutely the card I get rid of. This is a green card costing 1 green, 1 yellow, and 2 pink. For 1 pink, I will score 3 points per majority that I have. I like that. I don't have the resources to get it yet, but I like that. And then I'm going to double yellow here. So I do have 4 yellow. Then we move into the company phase, which says I'm absolutely spending 2 yellow to tuck this card, because now that building becomes free, because this is a minus energy or electricity, and this one only takes 1 electricity. So every round I score that for free. I only have 2 left, so I can't do anything else. So that is that. But I trigger that for free to get 3 more money. 1, 2, and 3. And now I have 6. And I will spend 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to place one of my cubes here, which means at the start of every planning phase, I will roll a die, and if it's a 3 or higher, I get 1 free machine or electricity. So that is the end of that. This comes down to the end phase. All of these red cubes go away. All of these white cubes go away, and it means next round I'm very likely to get some yellow resource, which is good, because I'd really love to get this built. That'll add an additional 8 to my free building. Yay. And we reset back to the beginning. Because of that, I get to roll a die. And it is a 3 or higher, so I do get to take a resource. But the question is, do I want green or yellow? Green is empty though, and I've already got cubes in yellow. And I've already got a bunch of yellow. And I'm gonna get 2 more yellow, probably. And then I can double something. So 2 plus 2 is 4, double is 8, is way more than enough for that. So I'm gonna take a green. And then they roll. No, before they roll, I place out 2 tiles. This one gets me the same as this plus this. So it's basically these 2 locations combined together. Or 2 green, 2 yellow, a pink, plus a die. This slash means I get to choose which resource, but I get an additional die. And getting later into the game, that's going to be really important. Although having more cards and more cubes at the same time is likewise really important. But no, I need an additional die, and I can always take those things. That's fine. Let's move this out of the way, right there. And now I do roll my 3 dice, which is 1 for yellow, placing there, 3 for blue, oof, taking my card spot, I don't love it, and 4 for black, means here. All right. Well, in order to build this, I need double pinks, and I don't think that's going to happen unless I get those 2. I do get 7 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cubes. I want yellow, but the yellow is looking good already, and I'm going to automatically at least tie there. And I'm allowed to place in 4 spaces. And I'm going to sort of get rid of this now, just because we're running out of space on screen, and 4 dice will still remind me I can place in only 4 spaces. Extra cubes is good to have. Extra cards would be great, but maybe this turn I don't. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe. Or here, because then I could have 1 less cost for this one too. Yeah, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. But I need double yellow to score this card. But I can only place in 4 locations. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And say forget green. I do have enough green already for that. Yeah, let's do that. 1 there. Well, 2 there. 2 there. I need the double yellow, and I'll do that and cross my fingers. Maybe. Or I could put one of these there and hope I don't roll a 3. That might be better. Except if I roll a 1 here, that's dead anyway. Yeah, but that's fine. Let's do that. Let's do that. So I start with 2 solo points for those 2 locations. And then let's see what happens. Yellow is a 3, and now I'm crying. Darn it. Yeah, that was a mistake. Okay. Blue's a 6, which means top and bottom. And black is a 2, which also makes me cry. Wow, this is a horrible, horrible, horrible round. This game is playing very poorly, or I'm playing very poorly. That means that one of those goes there, both of those go there, those go there, one of those goes there, one of those goes there. I should have played there. I get that, they get that, and I get that. Which means from my 2, this goes down 1. This goes back up to 2, and then this goes down to 1. So I only have 1 to spend, which means that I can't get pink, enough pink. And I don't get cards. The best I can do is use that 1 to get green, yellow, or points. It has to be yellow. So I'm spending that 1 to get a yellow because then I will get the 5 yellow I need for that. But I could anyway if I did that. No, that has to be pink. And this is completely meaningless now. Yeah, that was a giant mistake. I don't know why I put that there and not there. Oh well, okay, so be it. Then we move into the area phase. I activate this for 2 yellow. No, 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 no. Yes, but this is doing nothing for me. Here they get it. Here I get to take 2 green, 2 yellow, or a pink. And realistically, the pink is what I need. And a die. So now I can place the 5 locations, which is interesting, but I need more cubes. And that's that. So we move into company phase. I spend all 5 yellow to add this to that like that, which gets me 11 points. 8 plus 3 for free because that's a -1 is 11. I'm up to 12. I can spend on something. If I spend 5, I get 2 points because I get 1 for each space I still have cubes on. I also see 7 or 11 I could do. Every time I play a building, I get 2 points. Or every time I play a new building, I get resources. I don't know if that's going to happen. It will happen here. Absolute majority in these locations is not likely to happen so much. So I'm thinking about either of those things. And I think build and get a resource or 2 resources may be the answer. So I'm spending 11 because I also want to invest for this. So that goes there. We come down to cleanup or end phase. These reds go away. My whites go away like that. And that is that. Going back to the top, rolling a die to see if I get a free resource. I do. I will take a yellow because this takes green, yellow, and 2 pink. So if I can get some pink, that's going to get started activated. I absolutely need to make sure I get cards this time, but let's see what tiles come out. Double pink, or roll a die and use the value of the die to spend 1 pip for greens and yellows, 2 pips for pinks, cards, and extra dice. Huh. I like that because it makes it more flexible moving forward. But now we have a 4th column, so pink is in the game. Rolling those dice. 5 there. Whoops, this should have gone away. 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means here and here. Blue gets a 5 as well. Means here and here. Those cards are crazy. Unless I drop if I drop a cube there, all of those will go away, and then I'll still have the cube for the next turn. So that might be worth it. Then black is a 1. So I don't get my discount, but that's fine. And pink is a 3, which is here as empty as nothing. Okay. Okay. So I have now 5 dice. So I can place in 5 locations, 7 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't get these cards, but I'm going to put a cube there to clear that out for next time. I definitely need pink. I definitely want dice. I don't know. Part of me wants to do that to get cards, to fight them. But I don't know that I want to throw 3 cubes and cross my fingers. But I don't know what's coming out on cards either. I'm definitely going to place some there, because I could get a bunch of cards from that. Yeah, maybe so. And this gets me flexibility. I really want that, but yeah, not this turn. Okay, that's that. They roll. Five for yellow. Boom, boom. 2 for blue. Ouch. That stinks. Hold on, before I did that. This is 1, 2, just 2. Okay, that goes there. 4 for black is 1 here and 1 here. 5 for pink is these 2 bottoms, so nothing happens. These go there. That is 1, that is 1, that is 1. They lose everything there. They lose everything there. They lose half there. I take that. I take that. I take that. Yuck. Because that's my 2. Minus 2 plus 1 is just 1 again. And I'm going to take a green. It's really sad that his ability has been useless to me so far. I'm playing very poorly. I apologize. But you're still getting an idea of how the game works, whether well done or not well done. All right, then we move into the area phase. I get this first because I want to try and use some cards from that. So if I roll here, I got a 3. So I'm going to take a card and see what it is first. 2 pinks, which means that's not going to help me. I can take a green or a yellow. We've already got 2 greens, so let's take a yellow, I guess. That's done. I activate this. Has to be a pink. And a die. I really need cubes. But it's going to happen next time anyway. The only other thing I'm doing is doubling green or yellow. Let's do green. Up to 4. Yeah, I'm failing miserably. I apologize. That's that. We go into company phase. If I do that, I don't have enough resources to activate it, so that's not going to help me right now. But this will. 1 green, 1 yellow, 2 pink. Plays that card, activating it. But whenever I play a card of that type, and this counts as either type because it's an advanced card, I can take a resource. So I will take the pink because then I can instantly activate that pink, scoring 3 per majority, which is 1, 2, 3 times 3 is 9. Trading in this 1 for a 10. And this is automatic, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's no way I'm getting the 600 points this game, but let's see where we can get. I can't believe I haven't found any good blue cards coming out, but I also don't have much card draw. Just this and that. I really should have taken that tile that gave me card draw before. End phase. These come all off. These all come off, which is now going to be nice because I have this already and I have potentially this already. So that's good-ish. And I did have, I forgot about this again. During the area phase, if the, yeah, I completely forgot about that. I don't know if I had 3, but right now I only had 3 for 4, so that didn't count. I'm pretty sure I did in round 3 have 3. Yeah, I want to go back and look at that because I will have scored points and things will change a little bit. All right, so sorry for the mistake, but I did go back and check the video and I did have exactly 3 majority in round 3, which means I would have drawn 1 card, which is 4 greens, spending 2 to get this stuff. Which means, also because round 3 I had 3, that's 3 times 3, I'd have another 9 points or dollars from last time. But also this means that I had 2 pink and I had 4 green and I had 2 yellow. So I'm going to do that slightly differently because if I spend 1, 2, 3, 4 to play this green card, first I could get 1 green back again from this ability, and then green, yellow, and 2 pink, gaining the 1 pink back, spending that 1 pink to activate that. I have less green resources, but now this building has been played for next round, which is going to be important. And I now have 30 money to spend. 20 gold is nice, but it's not amazing. But there's 5 rounds left. 20 times 5 is 100 points. That said, if I do this one for 18, I need to drive this up quick, and it's likely that I'm going to have good stuff this time, so I think I'm going to do that. I'm spending 20, taking 2 back to place out into that ability. Yeah, that's good. That's the end of this round. Let me clear off some stuff. We don't really need that on the board anymore. Making space. Going back into the planning phase, rolling my die to see if I get a free resource. I do not this time. That's a 2. That's sad because I really want a green to start activating this. I do need a pink for this now and 2 green for this now, so I have to start paying attention to that. Drawing new tiles. Ooh, 3 cards, turn 1 back. Or gaining stuff based on absolute majorities. That's too much work. I am going to take that because more cards is always good to have. Especially because I don't have any cards that are scoring on majorities, and that's really sad this game. All right, but I do have 3 symbols, which are scoring 4 points each, which is nice. I do have a lot of investment going, which is scoring points from that, which is good. But let's see what happens. Rolling these. I've got yellow 2 goes there. Blue 5 means here and here. Black 3, 2 down here, and pink 1, 2 up here. And I've only got 7 to spend. And I can play in 6 different locations now, but that's not a good idea. I need to make sure I have majority here. Super majority there. But I don't know if I want to commit. The best you can have is a 3 there. Do I want to put 2 more cubes there? I don't know. I definitely need pinks. If I can get 3 pink, that's great. But there's not a lot of spots for that to happen. I'm going to put 2 there and hope. I need greens. I'm putting 1 there to guarantee at least 1. That's 2 spots. I need more greens. I'm going to put 1 there to pray. No, that's silly. Yeah, but it's going to get me stuff. I want greens. I need to make sure I have greens. I really want to try and get more cards, but I've already got more cards coming here, potentially. Yeah, no. More solo points is more important. Yeah, let's go here and hope for rolly stuff. Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine. I had the dice for it. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 solo points to start. He rolls again. Yellow is 2. That's the perfect outcome. Blue is 2. That's Not great, but not the end of the world. Black is 6, means top and bottom. I didn't play anything there anyway. Pink is 1, that's bad. All right, so let's see what happens. Those go there. Half of 5 is 2 because it's rounded down. Those go there. They both go there. They all go there. That goes there. 1 is half of 3 rounded down. 1 goes there. Again, 1 goes there. And all 4 of these go there. So looking at shared spaces, this is +1. So we're at 5. This is a break even. 5 minus 2. So I do have 3 to spend. And I will have 1 space with cubes left. So doing this is not worth the investment. But being able to get that for 4 is good, and it's an additional thing at that same tile. So I'm going to spend 4, getting back 6 to place out a cube there. So in the future, I can potentially get crystals as well. That cost me 2. I have 1 left to spend. I am going to get a pink here. That's it? I need 3 pinks. I could have bought 1 more pink here, but that's just 2. Yeah, no, then it's not worth it. That was a good investment. I'm going to boost my greens. Yeah, let me get green in case I need it. Yep. Okay, then we activate. This is 2 greens. This is 1 pink. This is more cubes. This is 2 new cards. Ooh, here we go. Here is regular majorities get me a point for green and yellow. That's great. This is super majorities or absolute majorities get me 3 points. Less great because it's less likely for me to get that. So I'm going to stay there. And that's all that I get. Which actually works out well because 1 green and 1 yellow lets me play this new card. Then this one activates free is 11. This one it costs me a pink, 3 per majority, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 12 points. 13, 14, 15, and 5 is 20. Like that. Then 2 green gets me 3 plus 5 is 8. Like that. And this one is 1 per majority, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Plus 5 and 5 is 10. Like that. Good. Do I want to invest in anything? I can get a point for that. Is it worth spending 5 to get a point for that? No. And I can't invest in any of these things normally except to move this cube to a different space in these things, which I'm not going to do. So I'm done that. Again, I forgot to move this. We are now end phase, cleaning up cubes. Still lots of red out on the board. I do need to get some more cards. Back to the beginning. Now I'm rolling and hoping that I get a 4 or higher. I do. So I get a pink and green or yellow. I definitely need double green, so I'm going to get a green. Yes. New tile. Round 6. We're running out of space. I'm sorry. Absolute majorities let me draw cards, or pink can change into 3 greens or 3 yellows. I don't think I need either of those right now, but let's take the pink into different resources just for flexibility. Rolling cubes. I definitely need more of those. I definitely need more cards. Yellow gets a 6, that's top and bottom. I need lots of pink this round. Blue is a 3, gets this card's bye-bye. Black is a 4, means top and middle. Pink is a 3, which is this trade, which is fine with me. So I have 8 to place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trying to place out in up to 6 locations. So definitely 2 there. Definitely 2 there. Definitely 2 there. Huh. I need at least 1 green. I could get it from there, but it's unlikely. I could split 1 and 1 here, but a double 3 is a 6 is kind of cool. Yeah, maybe. And cross my fingers. I don't know. This is scary, but let's do that. I need more cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rolling some dice. Yellow is a 3. Ouch. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I did that, that's 1, 2, 3 solo points. Ouch. Blue's a 2. Also, ouch, because that doesn't get my double. Black is a 3. Pink is a 6. That means top and bottom. That's a tie. Half of those. They take this one. That's a tie. Half of those. Half of those. That's a tie. Half of those. I win that one. I win that one. Half of those. So looking at my solo points, that's a nothing, that's a nothing, that's a nothing. I beat them there. They beat me there. That's that. So those 2 cancel each other out. Those are flat. Those are flat. I've got 3 to spend. I have no idea what's coming out here. I feel like I should have a yellow just to have a yellow. Yeah, I'm going to take a pink and a yellow. That may be a mistake. I'm going to activate this one first, drawing 3 cards, and then I can discard 1. Okay. I'm getting rid of this one for sure because that's way too much resource and absolute majority is not helping me right now. This one's cool because it could add an additional 3 to my majority scoring. And this one is a new shape. 2 yellows and a pink, and then yellow-pink gets me 15 points. Potentially cool. So I get those cards. So that was that. Then I'm taking 2 green to 3. And I'm doubling green to 6 is what that does. Now I'm rolling a die here. Yeah, I used that, so that's fine. I got 4. All right, let's see. That takes a pink, that takes a pink. I wish I did 2 more pinks to play this, but then I can't activate it. But yeah, why not? I'm using that 4 to take 2 more pinks. That's the end of the round. And I'm running out of space, so let's kind of fill things in as closely as possible up here. Because I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3 green, 1 yellow, 1 pink to extend this one like that. And then I'm spending 2 pink, 1, 2 to play that card. And because of this ability, I get 1 pink back again. This card does nothing right now. Yes. Then activating things. 8 and 3 is 11. That's free. 10, 11, and that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Upgrading to a 50. Now, do I do this one or this one? Let's see. This one gets me 1 majority times 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, this one's not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 5 times 3 is 15 for 1 crystal. 9 and 6 is 15 for 2 crystals. So clearly I'm taking the cheaper one. Is that 15? Trading in this 5 and taking 20. Like that. Here now I get 4 points per majority. Again is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Times 4 is 20. 10, 20. 2 greens gets me 8. 1, 2, 8, 9, 10. Gets me a 10, but that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 50 is 100. I don't have the 2 pink to spend for that, unfortunately. Because of this, and also because of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is not equal to or greater than 6. So that's that. And I didn't advance this, but now we are at end phase. So clearing up everything on the board. Those stay there. Like that. Not looking great. Moving into round 7. Rolling a die for my bonus. Come on, please. 1. Nope. No bonus. That's sad. That's real sad. Drawing 2 tiles. 4 green. Or the cost of cards. See, that's the difference. This is the cost of resources to activate. This is the cost of the card is 1 less. Which could be nice. But 4 greens, yeah, I don't need that much green. Let's do that. Let's do that. They all roll now. We are running out of space. I'm going to put that away until we need it. Yellow is a 3. Of course, insta challenge. Just what I like. Blue is a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is these 2. I forgot to increase that last round. That should have been a 9. Because I did have majority there. That's why my cubes went away. Black is 1. So definitely not getting discount this time. Pink is 1. Taking away more potential for pinks. Ouch. And red is 1. Of course, that's the worst possible option. That. All right, and I got 9 cubes to place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 go there for sure. Has to. 1 goes there for sure. Hope, hope, hope. I have 1 green, 1 green, no yellow, and 1 pink. So I'm okay for this building, and I'm not okay for this building. I need green. So I'm going to put 2 there to guarantee I get green. And I want cards, and I'll hope for a doubler. Oh, I have 0 yellow, but I can't really get any there. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, rolling. Yellow is a 5, means middle and bottom. Oh wait, hold on. Before that, I've got just 2 solo points. So 1 there, 1 there. Blue's a 6, means top and bottom. Yay. Black's a 2, means double in the middle, sorry. Pink's a 5, means middle and bottom, that's a yay. And 6 means here nothing. All right, so I win that. Half for them. We tie there. They take that. I win that. 1 there. 2 there. They win that. They win half. Again, half. I take it. Half and half. And that cube makes me sad because even if I trigger that, I won't score anything. But already, 11 and 18 is 29, and 13 is more than 30. So this is already maxed out anyway. But yeah, that would have been nice to have. All right, then we activate. I'm going to activate this one first because this is a super majority, so I get 2 because of this ability. And then I draw 3 cards from here. Oh, wait, hold on. Slow down. Before I see those cards. I had 2. Tie, +1 is 3, -1 is 2, +1 is 3. So I have 3. I could invest, but I don't want to spend any more money. So I definitely want a pink. And I want a yellow just in case I need a yellow. So that spends my 3. Now we take the 3 cards. 4 greens. Ooh, I could boost my green by 5, but that needs 4 + 2 is 6. I might do it though. This is super majority, gets me 3 points. I don't think I'm going to keep that. Ooh, 3 greens lets me add an additional 2 to any of the blue cards, which means I could make my majorities another 2 points each. But I don't know I'm going to have that much green. No, because I didn't even get a doubler this time. Yuck. So those cards come to me anyway. This gets me 2 green. 1, 2. Yeah, then why did I take that yellow? Whatever. And a pink. Not happy. Yeah. Not happy at all. Okay. Yeah, wow. Yuck. Okay. Then, spending time. Let me bring this on screen so you can see what I have to spend. I wanted to double that, and I didn't. That's what this was hoping to do. Oh well. Then we're just going to activate things. 3 and 8 is 11. Here I've got, wait, hold on. This gets me 8 points. 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4 is also 8 points, but allows me to have another card for next time. Yeah, let's do that instead. So I'm playing 3 to build on to this one right here. And then that scores automatically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4 is 24 points. Whoops. 20, and then 4 plus 1 gets me a 5. Yes. 1 pink scores me 3 per majority is 1, 2, 3, 4 is 12. 1, 2, and 10, like that. You can't afford that, but I can afford this. For 2 pink, I get another 15. Where's that 5? 15 and 5 is 20. 30, 40, 50. Like that. And that's the round. Back to the end of round again. I haven't been moving that. These go away. These all go away. This and this and this. Yes, yes, yes. All of theirs. Mine and theirs. Like that. Moving this off the screen again for space. Rolling my starter die. Please give me stuff. I rolled a 1. That's bad news. Oops, that got bumped. Then, next tile for round 8. Ooh, this one is scoring points times the number of the round. So that would be 16 points this time. Or a die and an upgrade. That's not bad to have. But we're almost maxed out now. I need to start potentially getting dice. Anyway, let's do that. For points, because we don't have a lot of those. Rolling these. 6 is top and bottom. 5 is bottom 2. Black. 5 is bottom 2. Pink 1 is the top card, is just dead and I'm not going to bother. And 4 says top 2. And I've got 11 to spend this time. But again, only 6 places. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. And I can place in 6 locations. I need the green. I'd love to have, looking at the cards that I have, 1 more yellow. No, 2 more yellow. But I would get a yellow when I played this card. So 1 more yellow. 2 more pink. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pink. Realistically 4 pink, because I would get another if I played, oh no, that's tucking, so I wouldn't get that. 5 pink is not going to happen, because we don't even have that double pink out here. So we'll see. Slow down on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8 green, and I have 0. But if I played that, yeah, no. In any case, I need to make sure that this happens. And I need to make sure that this happens. That's 2 spots. I like some stuff. I kind of want to do that and hope. And I think I might do one there to cross my fingers. And 2 where? 2 for pink or 2 for cost or 2 for expending? I think 2 there. I'm real scared. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solo points to start though. And we cross our fingers that life is good. Please, please, please. 6 pink makes me happy. 1 blue makes me happy. It doesn't matter. Blue didn't matter. Black 2 is not a problem. Red 2 is not a problem. I'm out of cubes for them, switching to another color. Red 2, I'll use black cubes now as them. Wait, what did I do wrong? Still not a problem. Pink 6 goes there, that's great. Yellow should be a 2. And that's here, which is fine. Okay, this turned out real nice. I take this one. They get half. That's there. Half, half, half less. Tie, tie. I take that one. Half, 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 tie. So all the places that we're in are tied or I'm winning. So I'm winning here and I'm winning here means I'm up to 7 solo points this time. I will absolutely use 2 of those, going down to 5, to spend 10 for this, because I can clearly see all of my cubes are coming off, so my 10 just became 20 automatically. It's not a lot, but it's nice money. Then I have 5 left to spend. So looking at my resources and looking at the cards I have, I'm not getting any more cards. If I can have, this is cheaper to make things now. So that's free. That costs 1. Wait a minute, let me double check that. That's great. Yeah, that's great. That's free. That costs 1 green. That's 1 pink. So 1, 2, free is just 2 pink. There's only 2 pink. So I'm going to spend 2 of that to get 2 pink. That means I need a yellow for this, but that's fine because I can get yellow from here. And green, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green. So I'm going to use this last 1 to get a green. Then activating things. This one here gets me 2 yellow and 1 more die. That's a discount. This one gets me 2 times 8 or 16 points. So 10, 5, and 1, like that. That's my discount. I get 2 green to 3, and I double green to 6. And that should be everything. So then I start spending 1, 2, 3, 4 green to extend this one. Need space. 1, 2 yellow and 1 pink to play that one, which gets me 1 resource back again. 1 resource back again, but what? Either a green and a yellow or just 1 pink. Let's take the pink. Pink is harder to get. Then I'm spending 1 less resource for everything. So this is free anyway. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 5 is 20. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times majority. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 30, 40, 50, and 50 is 100, like that. Here I need to spend a yellow and a pink. -1 is just a yellow to score 15 points, like that. Up here is free because that's one resource discounted. 3 times majority, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is another 15. So 5 is 20, like that. Here's 2 green, but I only need to spend 1 because it's discounted. Is 3 and 5 is, hold on, let's do it this way. 5 and 5 is 10 and 3 is 13, which is 3 plus 10 is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Gets me a 50 pointer, like that. And finally 2 pink, but I only need to spend 1 because it's discounted, is 15. Is another 10 and 5, like that. Then I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations in round 8, so I don't get my bonus from that. That is the end of that round. But at the end of the phase, anywhere that I have, no, if the whole board is cleared of my cubes, which will be as soon as I get rid of all of the cubes in these corners, there are no more white cubes on the board, so I do take another 20 points. 10, 20. And we do go into our final round of the game. Setting this again off to the side. Rolling a die, please, 4. 5, yes. So I do get, just bringing this in here, a pink. And a green or a yellow. I need a yellow to activate that building, at the very least. Yeah. So that's that. Then final tile comes out. Either green or yellow becomes pink, or 4 yellow. Okay. Having 4 yellow might be a good thing if I get a card that gets me more yellow, or that needs more yellow to add to my yellow stack. Let's see if we can do that. Having more pink is always a good thing. But if I get this again, I only need 1 pink for everything that I have right now. All right, then I do have 11 to spend again, but they're gonna place first. 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I can place it in 7 different places, but first let's see what they do. Yellow's a 6, they're aiming for pinks. Blue's a 6, they're killing those cards. Black is a 6, killing this extra resource. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. That's wrong, and that's wrong. And I realize I just messed up the last round too. Because I took 2 away from here last time and put 2 on there, but 2 away from 6 should have been here and here. But I don't know if I did that right. Anyway, I'm not gonna fix it now, but 6 should be here and here. And 6 should be here and here. And 6 should be here and here. And I hope I didn't just mess that up. I'm sorry if I did. 3 is to there. And 3 gets to there as well. Yuck. Well, then I want that, because that's 18 points. And I really want green. And I want a double. And I need to discount. And I kind of want cute cards. This is risky, real risky. Yeah, well, that's 1, 2, 3 solo points to start. I'm not excited about this round. I've been playing very poorly, and there's probably some mistakes I made along the way, but you will have seen those in the subtitles. Rolling these dice for the last time this game. 4 means top and middle. 3 means bottom. What's next? Black is 1. They beat me there. That's horrible. That's incredibly horrible. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? No, I'm changing that, and I'm sorry that I'm retconning that. That was a mistake, and I should have, yeah, that was a mistake. But let me say that I couldn't do that. Let me say that I did that, because the red die I haven't activated yet. Pink is 2 there, which crushes me anyway, and red is a 6, top and bottom. Yeah, that was a mistake. Okay, all of those go there. That goes there, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. 2 there, we tie. And again, I'm sorry for the retcon, but that was a really bad decision. And I don't always think straight when I'm trying to explain my decisions, so we'll do that. That goes there, one of those there, that's there, that's there. Oops, nope. And one of those there. Which means tie, tie, they win. So I lose 1, I'm down to 2. So this is wasted for me right now, but nothing else helps me. What am I spending my 2 on? I need a pink, but I have 2 pinks. I could get a card and hope that it's something good, but I don't have the resources to do anything with it unless it's all green. Yeah. How much pink? I have 2 pink, and I only need 1 pink for this because I am getting this. So yeah, let's draw a card with my last 2 points and see what it is. Double green. Gets rid of 1 cost of green. That helps me not at all. Okay. Wasted. All right, so we go through. I get 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21. 30, 40, 50, and 50 is 101, like that. Here, nothing. Here is the discount. Here is a double. I'm going to take 2 green. And yeah, at this point, it doesn't matter if I double green or yellow, because I didn't get a card that was of any kind of meaning. And minus green cost isn't going to matter right now, because I have plenty to pay the cost. Yeah, all right, so we'll double green to 6 just because these are my resources as I go into my final thing. 3 and 8 is 11, and 4 is 15, like that. 1, 2, that's 6 times majorities for me is 1, 2, 3, 4 is 24. 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yellow and pink, but I don't have to spend it all, just 1 yellow or 1 pink. Gets me another 15, so 5 and 15 is 20. Plus 10, 20, 30 makes a 50. Up here, pink is free because of this. 3 times, again, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 12, 13, 14, 15. Like that. Green, I only need to spend 1, not that it matters. 13, like that. Here I only need to spend 1. Pink is 15 and 5 is 20, like that. Oops, we are here. That's everything. I don't have everything clear. Well, let me clear off the cubes anyway, just so you can see it, but those come off, those come off, this comes off. These and these, these and this, all of this, this, that hurts. Means I don't score that 20. But that is the end of the game, so we are going to score our sponsor cards. This one says, at the end of the final round, game 4 for each different icon in the lower left corner of the building cards. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 is 25. 35, 45, 55 makes 105. Like that. And then my other sponsor is this guy over here that says at the end of the round, the total amount I have invested plus 2. Well, I've got 5 and 8 is 13, plus 2 is 15, and 28 is 35, no, sorry, 18. What did I say? 15 and 18 is 25, 33, plus 11. Anyway, we are above 30, which is the max. So that's 30 more points, which is there, 30 points. And that, unfortunately, is the end of the game. I scored very poorly, nowhere near the 600. I didn't even clear the 500 I need for normal rules. That's 1, 2, 3, 400, 10, 20, 30, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 448 out of the needed 600 to win the game. That's it for me. That is the game. This is the part of the game where I do like to take a look at components. You have seen pretty much all there is to see in this game. I'm sort of two minds of this game because the illustrations in this game, the world looks beautiful. The characters look beautiful. Let me show those to you up closer. And while I'm doing that, you can see the other solo powers. But we had the Astute Speculator here. Red is Waste Management. For 3 solo points, they can choose an area tile from the discard pile and activate it as if it was solely controlled. And then return that to the bottom of the deck so you can't keep using the same one. Flying Transport for pink, 3 solo points. Move all of your player cubes from one area tile to another area tile, then redetermine control. Really cool power. Eliminated is black, 1 solo point. Remove up to 1 Saboteur that is not in control of an area tile. So you can clear out some of the extra stuff on the board. Blue is an excellent assistant. For 2 solo points, you can add a player cube to any one area tile and redetermine control. So this would have been really helpful in this game when a lot of the times they were beating me by sort of 1 cube. Yellow here, archiving, 1 solo point. Draw 3 building cards, discard any number of those cards, and return the rest to the top of the deck. So you're churning through looking for cards you really like. Those are all the characters, but again, I love the anime style artwork in this game. Characters are really cool. Let me show you more of the sponsors and the company cards because again, those also show the wonderful artwork on these just really interesting, really cool characters, showing off some more of the scoring. This one is 6 points for each construction card in your hand. 4 points for each of the blue area-based construction cards that you've played, including extensions. 6 points for each sole majority at the end. 6 points for each of those sort of market construction cards in your play area, including extensions. 6 points for the number of cards in your largest stack of cards, which is really fun. 4 points for the value of your cubes, -4 at the end. At the end of the final round, 4 points for each regular majority. At the end of the final round, calculate the total sum of revenue from all of your market cards in play and divide by 2. At the end of the final round, the number of dice, -3 times 5. End of the final round, 4 points for each yellow resource. 6 points for each pink resource, 6 points for each card in hand. I think we're back to the beginning. Yeah, those are all of the sponsors. I'm not going to show you all the company cards because there are a lot of them, but just showing you some more. Start with green resources once per round. When the number of green or yellow reaches 10, you get 3 green, 3 yellow, or 2 cards. And 10 is the max on a resource. So you couldn't get more green if you maxed out green, but you could max out green and get yellow, or max out yellow and get green, or cards. Here we go. In the company phase, each time you make an investment, take a card. You may also change an investment for free. So you can move your tiles, or sorry, your cube here to any slot every round, and you start with 9 points. Game points anytime you get 3 points anytime you get dice or cubes, and you start with 1 of each of the basic resources. And anyway, there are tons and tons and tons of these different companies that give you slightly different starting abilities and slightly different sort of twists on the way the game works. Those company cards do also work in multiplayer, whereas these solo abilities are only for the solo game. But I love the way everything looks. Component quality is nice. I mean, the cubes are just cubes, the dice are just dice, but the colors are poppy, very easy to understand. The art on these is kind of nothing because it's just sort of buildings, but the buildings all look nice. It just looks kind of mostly just solid color at quick glance, but the iconography here is really, really easy to understand. Everything does have a unique name to go with the unique picture that is in that sort of tile. The tile quality themselves, really nice. The cutout here so you can see the number is nicely done. I'm not quite sure why you need tiles for A through F since they are always the same and they could have sort of just been printed onto the board. But I guess it does look sort of nice to have everything on the board sort of look the same as far as there being a tile in each of the locations. The way that these gears sort of slot into each other and the fact that there are different ones of these each time is really nice. And actually, let me show you some more of those as well. There are all sort of slight variations on the theme. Here's the other planning one. 3 gets you a card, 4 gets you resources, 5 gets you dice or tokens. Here, 3 gets 3 points, 4 gets 2 cards, discard 1, 5 gets 1 of each resource. The area ones, similarly, these activate when things happen during that phase. This one means that anytime you get something with a hand, hold on, let me figure out what that means. That's a new logo or icon I haven't seen. I guess I haven't played with that tile yet. Ah, that's an empty. If you didn't get any resources this turn, you automatically get both regular or the crystal resource. This one, if you have more than 1 soul majority cards, and if you have more than 1 any majority, get a die and cubes. That's really cool. This one's similar to what we had now, except these are all majorities on resources, getting more resources. Company phase, when you play a card, get a card. When you tuck a card, get a card. Or when you invest on a tile, gain 2 cards, keeping 1. Here, when you play 2 cards, get 1 of each resource or a crystal. When you play 2 cards, get a die or another cube level. Or when you play 2 cards, gain 20 points. And then finally, nighttime phase. These are all pay 1 card from hand to get this stuff. And these are all spend points to get stuff. So lots of different ways that these different investments can change up during the game while we're still talking about components. Again, this dual layer board to hold these things in place is very nice to have so they don't slide all over the place. The cards themselves, great iconography. Again, really nice artwork in each of those. Very easy to parse what's happening here. Now, money. I want to show them all up close to you. Let me grab some from the bucket. The money comes in 3 different colors, and then each color is sort of 1 time and 5 time of whatever that value is. So we've got 1s and 5s in a single color, 10s and 50s in a single color, and then 100s and 500s in a single color. And I've seen some complaints online about there's not that much difference between the 1s and 5s or between the 10s and 50s and between the 100s and 500s. And that's definitely true that when you're digging through the sort of bucket to get the things that you need, they may not be that obviously easy to figure out which one you're grabbing because the size isn't that different. But visually you can see that the 550 and 500 is designed to look like there's a stack of bills instead of just a single bill. And yes, they are pretty close together. And yeah, they probably could have been slightly bigger for the stacked versions for the 550 and 500. But I don't really have a complaint because there aren't that many to dig through. And I tend to be able to grab what I need to grab fairly quickly most of the time. And I do think it looks kind of cool that 500 is just a stack of 100s and 50 is a stack of 10s and so on. So no big complaints from me here, but I did want to just point that out because I did see people talking about that online. Otherwise, that's basically all there is for components. Maybe back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I'm going to do something here that I haven't done in quite a while on this channel, and I used to do quite a bit, and that is just come right out up front and say, wow, I love this game. I was quite blown away by what this is. I had very little idea of what the game was going in. I'm not gonna lie, I saw the artwork on Twitter, I believe, but I've seen it pop up around a bunch of different places, and it just looks really pretty. And this name, Akase Yog, keeps popping up. There's another game they made before this called Factoria that I was very curious about as well, but that one didn't have any solo mode in it. So when I saw that this one had a solo mode, based on the art, based on what I'd seen from this designer just popping up in pictures online, and then based on the fact that this had a solo mode, I instantly reached out to Level 99 and I was super happy when they said I could have a chance to try it out. And boy, am I glad I did, because I am really, really enjoying this game quite a bit. So let's sort of get into what it is about this game that makes it so special for me. And at its core, this is basically a worker placement game, and I tend to really enjoy worker placement games because they sort of force you to think about a somewhat long-term strategy about what it is that you want to get done during the game, but because of the way you tend to interact with other players or with the automated sort of solo AI player, you sort of can't ever get the things done that you want to get done because you're always sort of battling for actions and so on. And what that means is it pulls out more of the tactical turn-by-turn kind of play that I tend to enjoy in games. And this one definitely does that, even more so than many because of the way that this works. And the first thing is, like some other worker placement games, this isn't wholly unique, but it is somewhat unique. And that is that every round in this game, you're adding a new action to the board. You're adding a new worker placement spot to the board. So you're starting with A, B, C, D, E, F, 6 different locations, plus of course in the first round you place out your first location. So you start with 7 locations that you can place your pieces out at to take the different actions. And those actions, again, round by round, are increasing by 1 location in each round. So you're getting a variety of different things that you can do, a growing variety of different things you can do on your turn to sort of interact with the core sort of scoring loop of this game, which I'll get to in just a minute, because that adds in an additional mechanism to the game. But on top of that, what that means is only 6 of these, 9 plus 6, 15 locations in the game are the same every time you play this game. Now, there are only a set number of locations or actions tiles in the box, so you're going to see most of them every time you play the game, but you're not ever going to see, well, I don't want to say not ever, you're probably not ever going to see the same mix of tiles because they're going to come out in a different order every time that you play this game. And what that means is that every time you play this game, even just in the core mechanical loop of place a worker, take an action, which isn't quite how this game works, and I'll get to that in a second as well. But even in that core loop of place your thing on a space and take that space's action is going to change because from round to round you're getting more possibilities, but then every time you play the game, the sort of order that those come out in and then which come out and which don't come out, meaning what sort of combos you can make based on the action spaces that are available to you, is going to change quite dramatically every time you play the game. So just that core central loop will be quite variable every time you play the game. But then on top of that, there's 2 sort of further steps. The first further step that I want to talk about is this scoring loop. And the scoring in this is basically engine building. So there are these building cards that you're trying to build out. And as you're placing out on these action spaces, basically the action spaces are going to give you different ways to earn resources, potentially earn points that you score just for endgame points. But the resources you're then using to build buildings, activate buildings, and then finally to potentially invest your money or invest your points into special abilities that will sort of change up the way the rest of the game works. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about this now and come back to it because the other large mechanism is going to sort of tie itself into all of this. So it's going to be hard to talk about this without also talking about that. But this is an engine building resource management kind of game where you're trying to build buildings with resources. And then some of those buildings will require more resources to activate the buildings. And activating the buildings is basically trading in those resources to earn points or earn money really because you're turning the resources into money in your company. And those money points will sort of dictate who wins the game at the end of the game. But that is sort of just level 1.5 because the other core mechanical system in this game is area majority. And this is what makes the game so incredibly unique to me. You do have worker placement that is modular, meaning the spaces are different every time. The spaces are growing as you play. You've got this cool engine building loop of building out these buildings and then activating more and more buildings, because I didn't point this out, but instead of building new buildings, some of the buildings of the same type can actually slot under buildings you've already built, thereby requiring no more resources, but increasing the amount of money or points that you get from those buildings when you activate them for the same cost as whatever that top card shows on it. So as you're playing, this engine building piece is growing, not only adding new buildings, but increasing the amount of stuff you get from each of the buildings potentially that you're activating as you play. But then on top of all of this, what makes it incredibly unique is this idea of area majority. And it's not area majority as a goal, it's area majority as an interaction with the game itself, which is something that's fairly unique because generally in games that have area majority, it's sort of at the end of the round, whoever has the most stuff here scores points for that area. But in this case, the area majority ties directly into the worker placement system, which is really interesting because you're not just placing out items onto a board and then doing whatever you're getting for placing that thing out there. Whether that means taking turns placing out things, whether that means placing out and activating at the same time. You've seen a variety of different worker placement style games, but this one you don't actually place anything out on the board in turns. In a multiplayer game, you're all placing at the same time. And the way that works is you've got a sort of hidden screen that behind your screen, you're dictating which locations you're planning to put your stuff in, because your stuff here is cubes and not individual workers. Which locations you're planning to put your cubes into, and then also how many cubes you're willing to place into each of those locations. With the restriction that you have a set number of locations that you're allowed to put things into, which you can slowly upgrade throughout the game. And you have a set number of total cubes that you're allowed to place in a given round, which you can also upgrade throughout the game. So the number of locations you can place into and the amount of cubes you can place total over all of those locations can be increased throughout gameplay. Although by doing that, you're not taking actions to get the resources that allow you to build buildings, that allow you to sort of run the resource processing of those buildings to score points. So there is a balance of upgrading versus running the engine to score those points or to earn income in order to trade that in for points or score that as points at the end of the game. So you're behind this screen using dice, setting a value of that die. Each die represents a single location that you can play into, placing them onto a card that shows which location you're setting that to be placed onto, and using the value of the die to sort of dictate how many cubes you're planning to place into that location. Remembering that you do have a maximum total of cubes that you're allowed to place out in any given round. And then everybody reveals at the same time, and all of the cubes that you said you were going to place out get placed out into the locations that you said you would place them out into. And then for each location, whoever has the most pieces at that location triggers the action at that location. And if there is a tie, whoever is tied at that location will also take actions at that location. Except that some of the cards, some of the building cards that score points that do not require you to spend resources to score points, instead score points based on these majorities. And some of those cards will score points based on the number of locations where you have any kind of majority, and some of those locations will only score points for every location where you have the maximum or the ultimate or the solo single majority, means no one else is tied for a majority at that location. So you're also potentially scoring points by having majority. So the majorities don't only trigger the spaces, but then will also potentially score some of your building tiles or building cards. In addition, some of the locations that you're placing out round by round that will be new actions will give you some amount of resources or some amount of something based on the number of majorities you have. And in fact, one of those locations will even just simply boost the number of majorities you have, thereby increasing any of those other locations or buildings that score based off your majorities. And then another twist on top of that, at the end of the round, any cubes that were counted as majority at a location are removed from the board. But any cubes that were not part of the majority stay out in that location, which means in the next round, you've already got cubes in the locations where you didn't succeed in the previous round. So now you're more likely to score or activate those locations unless somebody really wants to dump a lot of cubes into that location in order to beat you, but then they're not placing in other places, so you're sort of forcing them to do things they might not want to do in order to make sure they can do the things they want to do to sort of run their engine as efficiently as possible. And again, the locations that are coming out are going to have a variety of different actions, so it's sort of going to slowly also be leveling up some of the basic actions that you start with at the beginning. At the beginning, you're going to be getting sort of 2 green or 2 yellow resources or 1 pink resource, but later on you might get 2 pink resources at a single location, or 4 green or 4 yellow, or there's a location that doubles the amount of green or yellow resources that you have. So there's a variety of different things that are growing while the number of locations you can place at and the number of cubes total that you can place in any round is growing. And then again, I mentioned at the end of the round, sort of as you're spending resources to build buildings and activate buildings, you can also spend money or points that you've gained in order to invest into 4 different sort of investment opportunities that give you different options. The first one is based on the planning phase when you're placing out cubes, and during that phase you roll a die, and if you roll a high enough value, you might get something for free. The next one is sort of changing up what happens in the area phase when you're activating the places where you have majority, in which case it says, for example, if you have ultimate majority in a certain location, you might get more stuff for that location. Then the next investment opportunity is dealing with the building and activation of buildings. And those are generally going to say, if you build a building, you get some kind of something for doing so, or if you tuck a building, you get some kind of special thing for doing so. And then the final investment opportunity generally has something to do with the end of the round. Meaning, if you still have cubes on the board, you get something. If you have no cubes left on the board, you get something. If you want to spend some money, you can buy something, and so on. So in addition to the normal gameplay, you also have this ability to purchase sort of game-breaking abilities that give you some kind of boost or give you some unique way to twist the rules of the game in some way. But again, in order to get those things, you have to spend money, which is the points, which means you are losing endgame points in order to give yourself some kind of ability that hopefully, if used correctly, will then boost how many points you can make before the end of the game. So tying all of this stuff together, the area majority tying into the worker placement, which ultimately drives this sort of resource management, engine building kind of game. And all of it together makes for some really cool ideas about, this is the kind of game I want to play. These are the kinds of things I want to get done based on what I see. But round by round, I'm adding in new actions that I don't know what's coming out. And then this sort of idea of who's placing where and where I can place to definitely get something done, or where I can place to sort of mess somebody else but sort of get something done as well, really pulls in this awesome turn-by-turn tactical decision, changing on the fly to sort of change your strategy in order to match the new actions that are coming out, the cards that you're drawing on your turn, because the cards is an action to draw more cards, and that's the only way you're going to get those cards to play as building. So all of this tied together really is a very unique and interesting thing. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this area majority worker placement that's being done here, and I'm very excited by that. Now, I will say, it does kind of remind me, if you've ever played Luthier, of the sort of bid-based worker placement there, except again, the unique system here is that not only are you triggering the action based on having a higher number than somebody else, it also means you're blocking somebody else from taking that action, potentially if you have more than them. But even more important, even more interesting is this idea that if you lose the action and you don't get to take the action, your cubes stay there as a potential usage for the future actions, which it just adds in layer after layer after layer of unique and interesting decision-making, comboing, tactical decisions that lead to interesting longer-term strategic decisions, and I'm loving everything about this game. And on top of that, there's some other little wrinkles. At the beginning of every game, you draw a sponsor card, which is going to give you some kind of scoring goal that you're trying to achieve by the end of the game to score points. And every time you play the game, it's going to be a different sponsor, and it's going to give you different points for something. Whoever has the most majorities, or no, scoring points based on the number of majorities you have at the end of the game. Scoring points for the most, for the amount of specific resources you have left at the end of the game. Scoring points for your value of how many dice you have at the end of the game, means how many locations you can place at. Scoring points for how many total cubes you're allowed to place at the end of the game. All of these things force you to think about the game in different ways. So on top of the different actions available to every round and then also every game and the order that they've come out in, now you've got this additional sponsor, this additional scoring goal at the end of the game that pushes you to think about the game in another different way. And if you play with the advanced rules, which I always will do now that I know how to play the game, because it doesn't make the game any more difficult, but it gives you a couple more interesting wrinkles. And one of those is an additional sponsor goal that is a personal goal for you. Now in the solo mode, there is only you, so it's just an additional goal. But having more things to think about or sort of to focus my decisions on as I'm playing really makes for more interesting decisions. But in the multiplayer game, it's even more interesting, because in the multiplayer game, that personal sponsor goal is something you're going to score regardless based on what your sort of conditions are at the end of the game. But if anybody else at the table has done that better than you have, they will also score your personal goal. Now that's a secret. They don't know what that is until the end of the game. But it could be that if you watch somebody else's play and get an idea of what they're doing and try and figure out how to do it better than them, there's a chance that you'll score even more points at the end of the game. And I think that's another cool additional wrinkle to throw into the game. And also in the advanced game, you get company cards. And the company cards are cool because it gives everybody something to start with in addition to just sort of the basic setup. You might start with some resources, you might start with an extra die, meaning you get to place out in an additional location. There's a variety of different things you could start with. But then even more interesting than a starting sort of asymmetry is the fact that these company cards also give you some kind of unique ability that lets you mess with the game or interact with the game in some other way, giving you some kind of resources and so on. You saw in my playthrough, I had the ability that if at the end of the round I had as many majorities as the round number or more, I would get free resources. And if the majorities matched exactly the round number, I would also get money/points at the end of the round. And that gave me sort of another way to think about interacting with the game, but also gave me some kind of bonus for being able to follow the sort of guidelines of how my character was meant to be played. And again, that throws in even more variability. Loving it. Now let's talk about the solo mode. Because this is an area majority game, which means it sounds like probably it would be more fun with lots of people all fighting over these spaces, all fighting over all of these scoring goals and so on. But I have to say the way that this works solo is pretty amazing. It's really, really cool the way that this works because the sort of area majority piece works such that you roll some dice. Each column of action locations has a die that you roll. And you roll that die, and based on what the number of that die is, you seed certain locations in that column with 1 or 2 cubes. Either 1 cube in 2 locations or 2 cubes in a single location. And the way that it works is, you do that once to seed the board at the start of the round. Then you set out your cubes where you want to place them. And then you do that again, so they sort of mess with you and they change what you think is going to happen. Which is cool because it kind of gives you the idea of the stuff you know before you place is kind of like you being able to read your opponent's sort of plans based on what they've been doing and based on what you see them able to do or what you expect they might want to do. And then the sort of roll that happens after you place is just the fact that you're never 100% sure what a multiplayer player would be doing against you, so you kind of have to deal with the randomness of what they do after you've sort of planned behind your shield where you're going to place your stuff. But the solo mode adds in extra stuff too that doesn't exist in the multiplayer game, which makes me even happier. In the solo game, it brings in this idea of something called solo points. And solo points works like this. After the automated die roll places out some cubes, you place your cubes out wherever you want them to place based on the restrictions of how many locations and how many cubes you can place. And then anytime you've placed into a location that contains the automatically placed cubes, you get 1 solo point for each of those locations. And then after you reseed the board with more of the automated cubes, you check those locations where you're sharing spaces. And if you are only you are winning that location, or only you have majority in that location, you get an additional solo point. If you're tied, nothing happens. And if they have ultimate majority and you don't, they get a point, meaning you lose a solo point. But those solo points can then be spent to buy resources and to buy cards potentially. But even cooler is that each color in the game has a character that goes with it in the solo mode, and each of those characters has a unique ability that can be triggered by spending some number of these solo points as well. So that allows you to interact with the game in another variable way that continues to make the game fresh. So while you're losing the sort of variability of playing against different people who might have different strategical thinking, different ways of thinking about the game and therefore different strategies that you have to interact with. While the automated player can't do that, it gives you a way to interact with the game differently, which forces you to think about the way that you're playing the game differently. So that solo character plus a company card plus 2 sponsor cards plus the variability of how the action spaces come out in this game, variability completely every single time I play this game, it feels very different. Now, of course, the way it plays is not changing all that much, but it is still changing because of the character's abilities, because of the company's abilities. It does allow me to interact and score differently because of the different sponsor endgame goals. It does allow me to score differently. So I do play differently, and the game does feel different every time I play this game. I can't say enough good things about this game. I'm really, really enjoying this game. It's very hard in solo mode. I do get quite crushed. I have come close quite a few times. I did win a few times, but that was before I understood the rules completely, so I'm not going to count those as wins because most of the games I've played since then tend to be right around the threshold or quite a bit below, as you saw in my playthrough. That may have been how not to play this game instead of how to play this game, but it did still show off how the game plays, so I hope that that was helpful. Anyway, in any case, I'm loving this game. And I really want to go try Factoria now because I know that's another sort of big Euro from Yogu. But I'm really hoping that Akase Yog has more solo stuff coming because this one has done it for me. And I can't wait to try more of their games out. Please, 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 more big Euros. Soloable big Euros would be wonderful from me. Great game. Not much more else that I can say. I hope that this video was helpful for you. As always, if you did enjoy this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.